Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, thank you so much for stopping by. My name is Andrea and I film videos all about my favorite cruelty-free beauty products. Today's video is going to be something a little bit different for my channel. I've been seeing these videos float around on YouTube and I really enjoy them. I always watch them, so I thought I would film my own version. I'm going to be revisiting old favorites. So I actually went back to some of my videos last spring to pick out my favorites from monthly favorites videos, from like spring beauty essentials videos, and just the products that I loved so much. And I'm going to go through and see if they're still favorites, if they are products that I no longer like, that I need to actually declutter from my collection. I thought this would be a fun video to film on my channel. If you guys enjoy it, let me know in the comments below and I can start doing it every season if you guys are interested in that. Otherwise, let's jump into it and we'll chat about some old favorites. Okay, let me start with some eyeshadow palettes. So one of the palettes that I really loved last spring was the Makeup Revolution, what is this one called? New-Trals versus New-Trals palette. I don't even remember the name of it, so that is obviously a sign that I have not used it in a while. I remember loving this palette so much. I wore it in so many of my videos last spring, and the color scheme is really beautiful. These peachy tone shadows were really popular, and they still are, but I feel like last spring I was on like a super peach warm shadow kick, and of course I'm wearing them on my eyes today because I did use some of these products for today's look. I honestly have not touched this palette since last spring. I really enjoyed it. I got a ton of use out of it last spring, but I haven't reached for it just because I do love eyeshadow palettes, so I have a bunch in my collection, and there are other like peach tone shadows that I enjoy more than this one. I honestly haven't reached for it, so I actually need to declutter this palette because it is no longer a favorite of mine. A peach palette that I do really love, and it's still one of my absolute favorite palettes, is the Too Faced Sweet Peach eyeshadow palette. I'm actually wearing this on my eyes today along with a ColourPop shadow on the lid, but I used it today because I just remember loving it so much, and I've used it since last spring. It's just one of my absolute favorites, especially for spring and summer. The colors in this palette are so beautiful, and it's just one of my go-to palettes. I love the formula, I love the shade selection, I love everything about this palette. It's just definitely an essential for me. So this definitely has remained a favorite, and I can't wait to use it even more this spring and summer. So last spring I was a big fan of the Milani Earthy Elements Everyday Eyes eyeshadow collection, and this palette comes with 6 different shadows. Honestly, the quality of this palette is so good. It's available at the drugstore, it's very affordable, and if you like warm tone shadows, this has some really beautiful colors in it, but it also has some cooler tone shadows in it as well. It's just a really beautiful palette, and I love the quality. But again, to be honest with you guys, I have not used this since last spring, so I just feel like I have other palettes in my collection that I reach for more often than this one, so it's kind of going to waste in my collection. I wish I could say it's still a favorite of mine, but I just don't use it, so it's definitely not one of my favorites anymore. I enjoy the formula. I definitely don't think it's a bad product, but it's just not one of my personal favorites anymore, so I think I actually have to pass this one along as well. So the Tarte Pro palette was one of my favorite palettes last year, and I still love this palette. I think it's so beautiful. The color scheme is absolutely gorgeous. I remember I went back and forth about whether or not I should actually purchase this palette when they released it, and it took me a little while to actually go out and buy it just because I wasn't sure that I needed it in my collection. But honestly, this is such a unique palette. I don't have a lot of these colors in other palettes in my collection, and I still love it. I think the formula is good, the colors are beautiful, I still love it, and it's still one of my favorites. So last spring I was a big fan of these 2 concealers, and they're definitely different concealers, but they were my absolute favorites, my go-tos. I did use one of them today because it's been a little while since I've used it. I used the Tarte Shape Tape Contour Concealer. I do like this concealer, but I feel like I've discovered so many amazing affordable alternatives. The ColourPop concealer is like my ultimate favorite right now, and it has been for a while, so I don't necessarily see myself repurchasing a lot of high-end concealers in the near future. I do like the Tarte Shape Tape. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites any longer, but I definitely like it enough to keep it in my collection because there are days when I would want to reach for this. I feel like it gives amazing coverage. It really stays in place really well on my oily skin, so I do like this product. It's just not one of my absolute favorites any longer. And then the Urban Decay Naked Skin Weightless Complete Coverage Concealer was also one of my favorites. These are kind of opposite because the Naked Skin concealers are a little bit more lightweight, light coverage, but I would say I still enjoy this one as well. Again, it's no longer one of my favorites just because there are so many good affordable concealers that I enjoy more than this one. I should probably put it in my project pan to try to finish it up because I don't think I would repurchase it. It's not a bad product. I don't necessarily hate it, but it's definitely not one of my favorites. I actually feel like a lot of my face product favorites have changed because these two face products are no longer favorites of mine either. I do have a lot of products that I love that I loved last year, but the Pure Cosmetics Bare It All 12-Hour 4-in-1 Skin Perfecting Foundation definitely isn't a favorite anymore. And it's weird because I don't remember a time where I was like, all of a sudden, not a big fan of it. I really loved this product last spring and I wore it so often, but I feel like as I was looking through my old favorites, I realized that I haven't reached for this foundation since last spring. I even put it in an everyday makeup drawer probably like a few months ago, and I just remember never reaching for it. So I feel like at this point I have a lot of other foundations that I like that I just use super often that I really haven't given this one another chance, and I would kind of put it in an everyday makeup drawer to try it out again, but I feel like at this point, I mean, if I didn't use it a few months ago and I haven't really used it since last spring, it's probably not going to be another one of, or it's not going to be like a rediscovered favorite. I feel like it's just kind of something that I need to declutter from my collection. It's just kind of taking up space and it's no longer my favorite, which is kind of sad because I remember really enjoying it at one point, but I feel like I just have other products that I like better. So last spring I discovered the Wet n Wild Megaglow highlighting powder in the shade Precious Petals, and it instantly became one of my favorites, and I still love this highlighter so much. I think it's one of my all-time favorite highlighters. I actually ended up purchasing additional colors. I think this was the first one that I tried, and then I purchased more, and I love them. I think they're some of the best highlighters at the drugstore, but just kind of highlighters in general, not just at the drugstore. The formula is very soft, they're very beautiful, and honestly, this color is like one of my essentials, so I still love this product a lot. Last spring, I was really in love with the Physicians Formula Butter Blushes in the shades Natural Glow and Plum Rose, and I do still really enjoy these. I actually had to remove them from my everyday makeup drawer because I was reaching for them so often, and I wanted to show some love to some of my other products, but if you are a fan of subtle blushes, I do think you would enjoy these. I don't know if these two colors in particular would work for everyone. They do have some additional shades now. I just enjoy the formula so much. I wish they would come out with even more shades because it's very smooth, very easy to use, and these colors are really beautiful. So I love these. They're definitely still favorites. I remember obsessing over the Cover FX Perfect Setting Powder, and I loved this product so much, but at the same time, I was really big into translucent setting powders, and I really loved like loose powders, and I've kind of transitioned more into pressed powders. So again, this product is no longer a favorite of mine. I do think if I was to go back to translucent powders, this is the one that I would really enjoy, but at this point in time, I cannot remember the last time that I really loved a loose powder. I think the last time that I used one was like last summer, right before I discovered the Kat Von D Lock-It Powder Foundation, because that has been my go-to. So whenever I set anything on my face with a powder, it's not really this powder any longer. So I'm trying to finish it up. I didn't change my mind about the quality. I've just changed my mind about the actual product because I prefer an alternative. So this one is no longer a favorite either. So I think it was last spring that I first tried the Kat Von D Tattoo Liner, and I love this product. I kind of wish that I did not try it out because it's an expensive eyeliner, and I've discovered some more affordable alternatives that I really enjoy, but at the same time, this is definitely still one of my favorites. I got this little deluxe size sample in either like a subscription box or as a Sephora point perk, and I'm so happy I did because I love it. I've missed it so much. I haven't used it in a little while until recently because I was trying to finish up some other liners, and it's such a good liner. It's so black, it goes on so beautifully, and it's just really easy to use. I love brush tipped liners, so I'm a big fan of this one. It's definitely still one of my favorites. My favorite liquid lipstick last spring and last summer was the ColourPop Ultra Satin Lip in the shade Strip, and I love this so much. It's my absolute favorite nude liquid lipstick. If I could only choose one, this is the one that I would choose. I love the color. It's like the perfect medium nude, and I love that it's in like the ultra satin finish because it's a little bit more comfortable than the ultra matte finish. I also still love the Too Faced Sweet Peach Creamy Peach Oil lip glosses. I haven't worn these a ton during the winter time just because I have other lip glosses that I usually prefer for the winter, but now that spring is here, these are going to be an essential for me again, just because like they're the perfect color, the perfect texture, they're so easy to use, and and they smell amazing. And I just enjoy them so much. I don't spend a ton of money on high-end lip glosses or really high-end lip products in general, but I feel like if I was going to spend my money on one, it would be these. Like if I lost them, I would totally go out and repurchase my favorites again, just because I feel like they're good go-to lip glosses. They don't necessarily last that long on the lips throughout the day, but they're so comfortable, they're easy to wear, easy to apply, and I just enjoy them a lot. So I definitely still love these. They're at the top of my lip gloss list. Well, I feel like the Buxom lip glosses are at the top of my list, but these are probably a close second. I would say these are like my second favorite. So that is the end of my video. Did you guys like this video? I hope you enjoyed it. I had fun going through and just kind of deciding whether or not I still liked products. It's a good way for me to reevaluate whether or not I need to keep products in my collection. I do film declutter videos, but at the same time, I feel like it's still good to go through your collection every once in a while as a whole and declutter products that you're not using. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what your current favorites are for spring. If you guys have any spring beauty essentials that you think I need to check out, I would love to hear from you. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.